Get the Hell Out is a Taiwanese 2020 horror zombie comedy about politicians getting into big fights, and there's also zombies. So this movie is mainly about Ying Huxing. She is basically a headstrong member of parliament who wants to stop her house from being demolished on the seaside for a energy center, a sort of energy plant that all the other politicians want. However, it's from a corrupt country called Saint Arcadia, and they might have waste in there that causes the rabies virus that's been on the news, and she's trying to fight it. However, she gets kicked out of parliament, so she grabs a security guard named Yu Wei and gets him to become a member of parliament, and she'll use him as a puppet to continue her crusade. However, they're going up against a gangster politician villain who wants to have it done because he's corrupt no matter what. So the first like 30 minutes of this movie is all build up. We're focusing on Ying. She basically is trying to do this. It's like her only thing she wants. Yu Wei likes her. He's liked her since childhood, so there's like a romance subplot going on. We're also focusing on Ying's dad. He's a janitor that wants to kill the president or something. There's also another co-worker there, lady, a couple other politician types. You know, it's really goofy. They have a lot of animatics, like, you know, like whenever a character gets introduced, they'll have like, you know, fire bursting out if they have a hot temper, and they'll have a whole caption for their name or their nickname. I felt like this aspect of the movie tries way too hard. Like seeing it at the beginning just to introduce characters is fine, but they have like a whole fight scene later where they try to put in like energy bars, and they try to have like, you know, sound effects and stuff thrown in. It feels like it's trying way too hard to be funny, kind of like over edited. So I didn't like that aspect, but the movie is funny. The movie is like really over the top with all the politicians and the bickering, and then the zombies get introduced and the place is locked down, and it's basically them just fighting off zombies and basically, you know, betraying each other as many times as they can because they're all vapid politicians. And then, you know, eventually they have to try to find a way to escape, and there's a villain that shows up and he wants to blow up the place, and it's a really oddball mix of zombies and comedy, more comedy than zombies. But I feel like sometimes the movie tries too hard to make a joke work when it doesn't, by adding animatics or visual effects or, you know, whatever. And could have dialed back on that, but it was still very enjoyable. It's really funny because a couple years after this movie, the antithesis of this film is called The Sadness. It's a Taiwanese infected movie where it's like the most violent thing I've ever seen, the most gory, violent, non-comedy thing I've ever seen. And then this movie's kind of like going for like a Shaun of the Dead but in Parliament kind of thing. So it's a weird juxtaposition to compare the two Taiwanese zombie films, but overall still enjoyable. And I give Get the Hell Out a 6 out of 10.